Hi there, we're back and we are live. It is Quality Engineering Community Day 2023 that is conducted by Global Testing Community and Pro Quality Community. Thank you all for staying with us. My name is Eugene Simenyuk and I will be with you for the next 3 topics. So let's proceed to the next talk. I believe you already heard something about architects in AT, such as solution architects and quality architects, but now it's time to speak about solution architecture in test automation. I'm happy to introduce our next speaker, Mikhail Subach, a senior software engineering manager at EPAM Systems, with the topic solution architecture in test automation. So don't forget to raise your questions in the chat. We will discuss the most interesting ones at the end of the talk. And make a note that session is being recorded and the recording will be available in a week after the session. Okay, hi Mikhail. I pass the word to you.
Hi. Hi everyone. It would be great today to talk about the solution architecture in test automation and its updates for this year, what's new, what we can expect. So a couple of words about myself. I'm working in test automation and software engineering test for 19 years, and my primary focus for now in terms of programming language is JavaScript, but I developed a lot of things in C#, a little bit in Ruby, in C++, in Python, Java. So can share some technology experience, and my current focus is to help people grow in test automation area and in solution architecture in test automation. So before we deep dive into who is solution architect and how to become, let's look at a real position description. So let's imagine our solution architect, let's name him Andrew. He come to the project and they're looking for someone who has a primary skill solution architecture in test automation and also knows how to develop test automation frameworks in .NET, in Java, expert in API test automation and in Azure Cloud. So regarding the project, they expect that this person to participate in 6 weeks quality engineering assessment for customer. We can see that there are multiple technology streams, so maybe multiple products. It's a middleware in Java, it's Microsoft Enterprise Applications in .NET. There is something to do with data, with business intelligence, specific technologies I mentioned. So looking at that, what would you expect for Andrew to do on that product. So let's think and try to guess at least three responsibilities. And here is how customer sees these responsibilities. So Andrew has to evaluate architecture and testability of products in scope of this assessment. So look into actual product solution architecture, not test automation framework, but product. Evaluate what we have in terms of test automation, design some proof of concept, demonstrate it to the customer, estimate what we can do with that after assessment phase, timeline a little bit, what phases we need, what team we need, and define our recommendations for future state, metrics, processes, and tools. So based on that, what actual skills this engineer has to have? So, and we can try to summarize it. But before that, let's think either friends can help with that. So maybe we do not need solution architect at all at this engagement. Maybe quality architect can do that, and probably yes. But if you talk about deep technical skills, maybe he will not have enough that. And when we talk about knowledge of test automation on expert level, it could be issues with that as well. And maybe we can invite lead software engineer in test or even chief with great experience. But probably he would fail with skills how to manage customer negotiations and how to address quality attributes workshop. So that's very specific for architecture and for architects' skills. But maybe we can involve test automation engineering manager. He should be technical, maybe not so deep. So, and that would be a potential gap. But he definitely would be great into customer negotiations. But again, if we are talking about identification of quality attributes of architecture significant requirements, he can fail with that. So our last hope would be to invite solution architect grown from developer. This role is on the market for several decades, I would say. And here is a gap would be in knowledge of test automation. So definitely it's not a zero, but not so deep as it required for the assessment. And if we come up with test strategy, maybe this is also not the best person. So looks like solution architect and test automation can do that better. And why? Because he can clarify business requirements. He can influence on product architecture. He can create POC, and if it's required, even build some testing accelerator required for that project or adopt existed one. And he could also roadmap the strategic test automation approach for that project. And if we are talking about test automation framework development, what's every senior test automation engineer can do, and lead, of course. So this diagram on the screen, which exists in our domain for decade maybe, it's definitely could be created by anyone in that era. But what we expect from solution architect in test automation, that if he did that, he will do that with world-class quality, and it could be used as a role model. So what's about regular activities? You can scan the screen maybe if you have any questions regarding that, please post them in the chat. Uh, we have time for questions. Definitely, I allocated that, so please be active in that. And I also can recommend extra challenge for those who are looking at this stream in live. Please post a question each 2 slides. So if you can do that, you will pass that challenge. Of course, you can do it offline and then post the best one, but if you can do it immediately, you will have more chances that we'll answer on them on the call. So to summarize a little bit, so it's pre-sales activities, it's talk with the client, it's designing test strategy with a focus on test automation side, has good communication skills in order to not only get questions and present the solution, but drive communication, because sometimes customers are good into giving us high level requirements, but maybe they were not so good into providing all of necessary details. So if something is missed, he has to drive this communication and ask the questions. And after that, only create and propose some solution architecture. Yeah, so let's talk about why to consider this interesting path. First of all, this is a way of great technological influence. So you can connect business with technology and influence on how this business can address this problem which it have, and in such a way stay with the technology and leverage on strong software engineering background. And definitely it's a great way for people who would like to stay with the technology for a long time, for the whole career, but still provide more influence than senior or lead test automation engineer can do. You will be able to create great solutions. Maybe even your name would be remembered on some conferences, on some talks, with a reference to what you created. And I would say that also it's a direct path to CTO if you're amazed and have some courage in order to see these 3 letters in your title. Okay, so talking about how to become solution architect in test automation. First of all, you need to be a lead software engineer in test. And what I mean by that it's not only advanced test automation knowledge in different application domains, like how to do for web, for API, for mobile, for desktop, maybe for some specific interfaces. But it's also DevOps knowledge in order to build pipelines or help to build pipelines with all of required quality gates in order to provide world-class testing or continuous testing capabilities. And in order to accelerate testing, sometimes we need to design testing accelerators, and you need development experience here outside of just test automation area. So that would be a big plus. And in our time without cloud, it's also hard to imagine to do anything. And in additional to that, so when you are a real lead software engineer in test, you can get architectural knowledge, deep dive into some business domains in order to know the solutions for that. For example, trading, maybe healthcare, life science, e-commerce. All of these business domains have some specifics, and if you did not have any projects in that area, it's as an engineer, it's hard to play the role of solution architect and be well well aware of limitations and potential um, potential things which you need to solve. So learning rare technologies and be curious about trends, that also will help a lot. And uh, one of the way to get this is solution architecture school for test automation, which we have in EPAM systems. So I hope that such schools could be available on market as well. What is it? It's a training which helps test automation engineers to get skills and experience to become solution architects. And there are a lot of people who can join there, but they have a specific background in order to cover the gaps with that. And it covers with the different modules, which joined into three big areas: architectural gaps, how to diagramming solutions, how to get business requirements, how to identify which affects architecture, which are not, and how to document the solution. Another important area, how to connect business with technology. So how to sell solution, how to design test strategy, and there is some technical gaps specific for test automation engineers which need to be covered as well. Each module consists of some materials, but the most important part is the practical task. When you have 10 hours and some people are spent for 20 or 30 hours per one model in order to deep dive into that and get that skill actually and apply it on practice, even if you do not have this opportunity on the project. And of course, the feedback after that. So when we are talking about technology landscape for this year, maybe you join this call just to hear about that, what to learn this year. I say that there are big four programming languages which are stays with us and will stay with us for 5 or more years. It's Java.NET, but these days JavaScript and Python getting some additional trends. So it makes sense to consider, and even makes sense to consider to deep dive into additional programming language if you stay with in your career with only one, because it's provide more flexibility. Of course, a lot of hype today about artificial intelligence, and it's not only hype. So I encourage to get good knowledge about the limitations and capabilities of large language models like ChatGPT and others, what they can do, and they already help a lot. And it's like a new era, like when we did not have internet and Google, and then we have it. We can Google some solutions. Now we can do it in an advanced way and even create something which wasn't created before. Another area to consider is how we can deploy services nowadays. So it's different cloud offerings from different build one services like Azure or Google Functions or AWS Lambdas. How we can deploy more more complex services, how we can manage API, and also event-driven architecture is also the point to consider if we are talking about cloud, but also to another areas mentioned in different position descriptions nowadays, and it's worth to study what we can do with data, especially transformation of it, different ways of storing, and how to analyze it in a quick way. And DevOps part is not only on DevOps, so you need to know how to build, how to store, how to validate different artifacts, and how to implement different quality gates. So we usually good into introducing test automation into pipelines, but we still need to remember about unit testing, about code static analysis, about dynamic security checks and performance. That's also should be a part of our ideal continuous delivery pipeline, I would say. So with that note, I would like to thanks everyone for listening to the speech, and hopefully you have some questions related to this topic.
Yeah, thank you, Mikhail, for the great topic. I believe we have some questions, so let's discuss them. So, the first question is about what is post assessment from Katerina.
Yeah, so basically, when the customer requests an assessment for his project, it means that we can provide some recommendations, analyze states, have a lot of talks, but there is a life after that assessment, right? So this is what we can do after that. Maybe propose some services, maybe help customer to identify what we need to do with all of these recommendations. So that's about it.
Mhm. Got it. Thank you for your answer. So, and the next question is about the future. So, what is the future of architecture in test automation? So, from your point of view.
Yeah, so let me maybe return to the slide with the friends of solution architect and test automation. So if we draw this slide 5 years ago, probably we see less squares and we do not see solution architect and test automation. So the future would be that we will have more such people and we have more understanding where to involve different roles, how to collaborate
Mhm.
with each other, and maybe even better vision how to distribute the activities. I see that nowadays, usually when we are work on a big project, we do not have only one person. So we
Mhm.
have a group of them. So yeah, and so definitely we will see more and more solution architects in test automation on the market as well.
Mhm. And the question for me, uh, what do you think about AI in solution architecture? So, what place should be for AI
Yeah,
in the future?
yeah, I saw real interesting examples when AI helps in testing and like designing test cases or even come up with some basic test strategy based on the requirements. But it's still an open question if we can give a business requirement and AI can draw us solution architecture, maybe solution architecture document with different sections. And definitely we need to explore this year more and more. And actually our like ChatGPT 4.0, they're evolving constantly. And there are more and
Mhm.
more alternative solutions coming to market. And they definitely try to eat some part of job from architects, but I still believe it would be the most boring part. So the creativity is still on our shoulders, and usually we still need to validate what we have. So maybe we can save time on drawing, on creation of some baseline proposal. But when we are going into architectural significant requirements, we usually need to turn on our creativity and our head in order to provide the best answer to the client.
Okay, thank you for your answer. And I have one more question. So I'm working a lot with software quality engineers. So they are mixed quality assurance engineers that are using functional testing and some automated testing approach. So what can you advise them? So um, if they wish to be solution architect in test automation. So
Yeah,
should
so
they try to become mm, as that? So, I mean, software developer at test, or probably they should use some another approach.
like cut the corners, right? And join this architectural trend. So probably is a good idea to consider quality architect path, but still being technical. And actually, we have a lot of work for quality architects with test automation experience, where we firstly evaluate what customer needs to do for testing, and after that understand if automation is required or not. Usually it's required, but should it be such advanced that we need to call solution architect and test automation in order to build something, to analyze product architecture, to split it down into all of parts, understand all of communications with different parts and how to test them. Or we can go with a more or less a generic approach and then adjust it with the help of engineers without involving of further architects. But definitely it's worth to learn cloud, get some certifications in that. Yeah, that's the advice for software quality engineer.
Yep, great advice. So okay, so I guess we're done with the questions. So thank you, Mikhail, for the great presentation and your answers. So thank you guys for watching us and for the questions. So if you will have any questions in future, so you can leave them on the agenda page, and Mikhail can answer them.
Yeah,
So
sure.
thank you for watching. So
Thank you.
join